It is Friday, so it's time for Ask the Car Chicks. We're here with Kasey Webster, General Manager of Larry H. Miller in Chevrolet in Murray. Yep. That's a mouthful. I know. But you guys had a great question I think a lot of people wonder about. Trade-ins.
Yeah, so I got a question from Tiff, and she said, look, I found the car that I want to buy, but I don't know what to do with the car I have now. And it's a common question. People get really excited. They picked out their new car, but they have this other one that's time to get rid of. So we're just going to kind of talk about the trade-in process.
Great.
The great thing about the car business right now is it's changing as fast as technology is changing, and it's all to the benefit of the customer. So if you were going to bring your car in today and have it appraised, basically you're going to come in, we're going to have you check through a couple of boxes. Has the car ever been in a wreck before? Had the airbags deployed? Simple things. What are the all the accessories that you have on your car? At that point, what used to happen was one person, the used car manager, would go out and he'd have this little book and he'd walk around the car and he'd put a number on it, right? But it's one person's value, and sometimes it was good.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it just was as much as he knew about that car. But right now what they're going to do is we're going to walk out to your vehicle. We're going to take a picture of every single angle, all four sides of the car, a close-up of the tires to look for the tread depth and your windshield and your interior. At this point, I'll tell you real quick, a lot of people say, should I spend a lot of money getting it detailed, things like that?
Yeah, great question.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Okay, why is that?
Don't do it, because dealers are going to know that they have to detail your car anyway.
Okay.
If you have a week-old McDonald's bag in there, take that out. Throw those things away.
Yeah.
You know?
Tidy up a little bit.
Clean it up a little bit, but you don't need to spend money on a detail. We're going to take pictures of the interior. They're also going to drive it to check to make sure it's mechanically sound. At that point, they're going to go back in, load all of this information into the computer, and this is where somebody like me who's a car nerd gets excited. They're going to hit the launch button, and at that point, it's going to go out to the central appraisal desk, and this is something that's an exclusive through the Miller Group.
Okay.
And it sends it out to 60 dealers all across the western United States. Wow. So you have all these dealers fighting to make sure that you get the most money for your trade. And why it's really important in Utah is it takes away the seasonality. If you bring in a sports car, for instance, in November, where normally we'd be like, oh, I don't know how a lot of people want to buy it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, because it's going to go to California, it's going to go to Arizona, it's going to go to all the states that people want it, to make sure that you get the most money for your car.
That's great. So it's a different process than it was 20 years ago.
It's a different process than it was 2 years ago.
Wow. Okay. So a lot more specific. And then any last tips for people getting the highest bid for their car, or how they can do that, keep up their car if they're wanting to trade it in the future?
You know, obviously you want to make sure, if you have your maintenance records, so much of that is accessible. We're going to pull a Carfax and an auto check, excuse me, on your vehicle, so we'll know most of the history in your car. I do tell you to let your dealer know. If you've been in a car wreck,
be honest about it.
It's okay. We're going to know it anyway, but sometimes the details from you are going to be a lot better than the details that we get from the car check. And I've seen a car that said it was hit by a bus, and really it had a rock flip from a bus. That was it. It was a $500 repair, not a totaled car.
So keep the communication open.
Absolutely.
All right, great. And we want to remind everybody that they get a free car detail if they ask you guys a question. And where can they do that?
They can do that at askthecarchicks.com. They can also go to larryhmillerchevrolet.com, and I believe to your website. And
yes, and you guys are on Twitter, you're on Facebook. We, of course, will have the links on our website, fox13now.com/theplace. Kasey, I always learn so much when you're here. Thank you.
Thank you.
And have a great weekend.
You too.
Okay, we'll be back with more.
Fox 13's The Place is sponsored in part by Ask the Car Chicks.